Expert Secrets, that's a title to a book written by Russell Branson. It's a playbook on how to create a mass movement of people who will pay for your advice.
Right.
And to help me review this book today, I've got my good friend, Daniel Mutuku. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about this book.
Expert Secrets is one of the books that has really changed my life and how I pursue both business. Over the last 10 years, I think I've been reading. To start with, I was not a good reader. 10 years ago, I think that is when I started reading personal development books. The first book I read changed my life. I think it was something to do how to be successful through influence. It took me a whole year to finish the book. But with time, of course, I've been increasing my reading rate. And I can mention several books that have been very pivotal in terms of my personal development. There was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. There was then a great book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Then last year I read two great books. That was FU Money and that was by Dan Lok. Yes. And then The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And this year, this is the second book that I'm reading, Expert Secret by Russell Branson, and I've actually stopped everything I'm doing to study the book and to implement what I'm reading or what I've learned from that book. So it is a very great book. I really encourage anyone who is thinking about how do you share your message, how do you have your own experience, share it out to help other people and at the same time being paid.
Wow.
Right.
So the book I know talks a lot about how to create a mass movement.
Right.
With you being what he calls the expert or the charismatic leader,
right,
for that community or that tribe. Tell me a little bit about how you go about creating a mass movement, and then we'll go down the line on other definitions. And
yeah, in the book, Russell Branson looks at, he has several chapters or different section in the book, and the first bit he talks about how do you create a mass movement, and he takes you through the process of first you need to be a charismatic leader, an attractive character that people will really want to follow you. Then he talks about what is the cause that you want people to follow you for, and this cause is basically the advice that you're giving. What problem, what challenges do people face? Then how do you create an opportunity, which he calls a new opportunity, to help people solve that problem. And most of it is based on your own experience, your own challenges that you faced. How did you end up solving that problem? Then presenting it to the people as an opportunity switch, not as an improvement offer of what they have been doing earlier, but how do you help people switch to this new opportunity that will be able to take them to the right place. So that is much about the creating this mass movement.
So you've highlighted this aspect of being a charismatic leader, and I presume that's a person who is seen by his or her community as an expert. Can I be an expert? Does anyone have that capability, or do they need to spend years in college, getting a degree, getting a PhD, several years of experience at a workplace? Who is an expert?
He does a very good job of explaining who an expert is, and he put it very clearly that everyone can be an expert. Actually, everyone is an expert. There is a certain thing that you're good at. You have experience in your line of work. Maybe you had a certain challenge in your life, and then you are able to find a way to solve that problem. So that by definition makes you an expert in that area. Let me give us an example. You might be an accountant or another profession, but you had a challenge with dealing with your children. Maybe they were very noisy. How do you have your children settle down, do homework, and you spend a lot of time researching, finding ways to correct that at home. And after a long period of time, you end up being an expert in how to, in parenting, as much as that was not the initial course of what you went to school for. So yes, an expert is anyone who has spent a good amount of time trying to solve a certain challenge, and once they come out of it successful, they can still be able to share the same strategies and what they have learned along the way. So anyone can be an expert.
Anyone can be an expert.
Right.
This seems to indicate to me that, in a sense, it is disrupting the education sector as we know it.
Right.
Because before we used to have people who are called teachers or lecturers or professors. But these days it's almost like people want to be taught by somebody who has actually done that which they are teaching about. What's your take about this new look of how education and learning and improving of oneself is sort of being disrupted by this new dispensation that we are in?
Most of the teachers or the lecturers or people who teach in the traditional education system tend to have this in theory format. And there's a lot of theory, a lot of assumption, a lot of, if you add this, this is what would come out. But unfortunately, when you go out to the field, things are not usually as smooth as the theory tends to put it. So people are more willing to learn from someone who has done exactly what you want to do, and they find the information more valuable, more practical, and someone actually can be able to anticipate other challenges and other things that might come through your way. Maybe something I would also want to mention when we talk about the expert. It is not your traditional expert having gone to school and done this college, what do you call them, the PhDs and degrees, but this is someone who has gone through the path that you want to go through. And unfortunately, most people will not see themselves as expert because some of those skills that you have, what he talks about, superpowers, they come quite easily for you. There's some people tell them, deal with these kids, they will able to talk to the kids and calm them down and have them follow instruction in a very simple way. And if you do that, you find it coming so naturally to you, and you feel like it's not a superpower. While a parent who is struggling with their kids, they'll be like, wow, how did you do that? How did you calm the baby down like that? Someone else is maybe has spent several years learning how to cook or a certain recipe, and to them preparing that food is just natural, but someone tastes that and like, wow, that food is good. So we tend to downplay these superpowers that we have, and we only leave this title expert to the learned, the people who have went to school and have the degrees and the papers in these areas.
Okay.
Right.
So I see also he talks of whenever you're sharing your message, it is good to use stories.
Yes.
Why are stories important, and how can we all be able to utilize them in spreading our message to our community, to our fans?
The second section of the book, he talks about creating belief. And I think from research, he has seen that one of the best ways to help people create new beliefs is through storytelling. And especially when it is not just fictional stories, but based on your own personal experience, people tend to really connect with that. There is a way that you can be able to tell a story that will have more impact to your listeners and to your followers. And so stories play a very big part. I think from our society, we have those folk tales that have a moral lesson at the end of the story. We are accustomed to listen to stories. He says actually, when you're able to connect with someone at an emotional level with your stories, they are able to make a decision rather than putting facts and figures, telling them this will add to this, the benefits and the features of certain product. Those are logical explanation, but to get to the inner core, you can do that through stories. And actually he shares a whole framework on how do you give out stories.
So the whole framework, you can find it in the book?
Yeah, find the book. Yeah. Actually, he shares what is the secret behind, like all the movies. They follow a certain path. There is in a story, there is a character, there is a conflict, and there is the certain outcome that we want to have. And he shows how can you use the same framework in your own stories. So the book is quite comprehensive also in that section on how you can use stories.
And this idea of presenting a new opportunity to your community, to your mass movement, to your tribe.
Yes.
How do you go about it? Because I tend to think it's like virtually everything has been done. Are there any new opportunities out there?
Yes, there is always a new opportunity. I'll give an example. If for example, I'm in the field of careers. I have been helping people to get jobs and improve in their professional lives and their careers and develop. But there is always a certain way of doing things. People know you have to go to school, you have to go get your degrees, apply for a job. If you're lucky, you get invited for an interview. If you impress the people who are in the interview, again, you might get the job. And probably it's not the job that you like, but just because they presented an offer. But there is a new opportunity that I've come to learn that all this, the current way of doing things, is based on luck. If I'm lucky, I'll get invited for an interview. If I'm lucky, they will give me the offer. But yes, there are new opportunities. I have studied and I've seen there are certain things that you can do intentionally to make the person who is receiving the application to actually call you for an interview. There's some things you can do in the interview very deliberately, and with sure precision, you will be given that job offer. When you get that job, there are certain things that you can do deliberately and intentionally, and the result is that you will get promoted, you will get higher opportunities, and you will grow. So yes, there are always new opportunities, and traditionally we expect that these opportunities will be in the big books, in the library, with the big authors and all that. But the opportunities are with real life experience, people who have gone through the same path and saying, actually, there's a different way of doing things, and this is how you can be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So I think it is very important to be able to identify the new opportunity. But Russell Branson brings a very good point home. Again, how do you present this new opportunity?
Yes.
Because if you miscommunicate this new opportunity, people will just see as if it is the old, just an improvement of what has always been.
And he talks about it's not about an incremental improvement of something existing, but it's totally something new.
It's a totally different thing. I'll, in the same line, just give an example. It is known that for you to get a job, you need to, maybe most of the time you need a godfather, you need someone to be able to help you go through. But the new opportunity is not about how do you get this connection, but the new opportunity would be something like, how do you present yourself such that you don't need the connections to get the job? So an improvement offer always fails or will not tend to move people in the mass movement, but a new opportunity will.
I like, probably, I don't know if you could share a bit of the compelling campaign that you're currently running, whereby you're talking about, because the traditional sense that we know, if you want to get or grow in your career, then you need to sort of acquire a lot of educational certifications.
Yes.
Could be acquire a degree, acquire a master's, and there's a lot of rush for that in the market. I think that's the existing thought out there.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about the campaign that you're doing and how new is it in the sense of the way you're presenting it.
Having read this book, I decided to try and reorganize how we are able to present our services to our clients and to the members who actually follow us. And I was able to come up now with a new program which is called the Badass Pro program. I define my own destiny. That is the tagline. And in this program, our promise is that we will show you how you can be able to get to a 6-figure salary even without a degree or master's. And it is, from it is a new opportunity. It is totally out of the way of what people think, or how do you get to that 6-figure salary. So watch out for this space. You will get more information about the program, but I can say I was able to implement and start off this new program just by the fact that I read the book Expert Secret. And I think I also know you are working on something based on the information that we are trying to gather from this book Expert Secret. Tell us about it, this new opportunity that you have.
Yes, so I'm coming up with a new educational platform.
Right.
I'm calling it the Self-Mastery Education Platform. And the whole idea is really confronting that notion that you can only acquire your education through the current schooling system. The current schooling system is good, but we've found that it's not effective in the marketplace.
Right.
So how can we empower you to be effective, not just in the marketplace, but also in your life? So we'll be presenting some great opportunity out there. Really, it's going to be a disruption of how you think of education and how to improve yourself as a person.
Yeah, I think I'll just pause here and say, it is very important for you to understand that when we are reading these books, when we take even the opportunity to try and review and share some of the nuggets that are in this book, at the same time, we still look back and say, what is it that I've learned from this book, and how can I implement what I am learning? So Expert Secret is a very great book, especially if you're in business and you want to, or not even in business, you are an expert in a certain area, you have a certain skill, a certain superpower that you are really good at, you have spent a lot of time trying to create a solution. How do you get people to pay you for their advice? Just because you have been there before them and you're saving them a lot of time, stress, money, trying to solve the same problem or reinventing the wheel.
So tell me about where can you apply this knowledge? Is it only applicable with online businesses, or can people be able to take advantage of the techniques and the tools that Russell Branson has shared here in there? You know, if I run my little boutique shop that sells clothes or that sells, you know, general items out there.
So the secrets that have been shared in the book Expert Secrets can be able to apply both to the new kind of business, which is called information business or information based business, and the traditional business. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is an addition to a real existing traditional business. If you have a business where you're selling clothes or you're selling shoes, if you include now the information bit of it, it is able to even grow or double or even 10x your business. So it is something that can be applied on both sides. But in this case, most of the examples it gives would be for an individual who feels like they have a message, they have a skill, they have a piece of advice that would be able to serve and help many people. Use this opportunity to be able to get out there. It is again it is a different way of doing business. It is out of the ordinary tradition kind of businesses, a restaurant, a butchery, or a boutique, but still it's applicable both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine even if you have sort of a brick and mortar store out there, you want to take advantage of the online tools that we have existing now,
right?
Which is use of the internet, use of mobile phones, and it's basically to spread your message. I think people typically what they would do is, let's say if I sell suits, and I have a shop on Moi Avenue in Nairobi, what people would typically do is just post pictures of those suits. But have you thought of another way to communicate that message? Maybe one way to enhance the business and to be able to encourage more customers that would be loyal to your business is probably talking about maybe how you do a simple thing as a lapel. It could be enhance it with information that your customer will find much more beneficial. Beyond the commodity that you're selling, include some information, some value that you can sell. I see there's a lady who opened a restaurant here in Nairobi, and I got to know about it purely through Facebook. And the simple things that she does is she has like a new menu every week. And beyond that is she will have a theme around it. So it could be probably an Asian theme, and she'll tell you about it. And sometimes she'll also share pictures of when she's going out to do grocery shopping. And just, so there is much more than me going to the restaurant just to enjoy a meal. I'm learning the story just around how the meal came about. how she developed the menu. What was the inspiration behind the menu? So it's and for me this is quite attractive, and this makes me want to go back and back again, and also spread to other friends about it. So maybe speak to a lot about how existing brick and mortar stores can take advantage of this new way of doing business.
You put it quite nicely, and I just want to add up on, for example, there's someone who's selling suits or clothes. They're not necessarily in the business of selling clothes, but if they look at it in terms of, we are out here to help people create maybe their first impression or maintain a certain brand and impression of themselves. So if you start educating people about why it is important to put on a suit when you're going for an interview, why it is important to dress properly when you're going for this kind of a meeting, the kind of impression that you're creating, how do you do the color scheme, how do you change, I don't know, put a red tie and a white shirt, all those, you are giving people information, you are positioning yourself as an expert, and I can assure you, when someone needs that suit for that job interview, when they need that suit to go for that board meeting to make an impression, they will be thinking about you. So you have used the information to educate, not necessarily market, to educate, and you have positioned yourself as an expert in that field. So it is very, the options are endless. It is infinite in terms of how do you use this system. How do you position yourself as an expert and actually have a following that will still enable you sell your product, even if they are physical products? And I think that is an example of the restaurant. Quite good. Yeah. There's a story behind it. By the time you go eat lunch there, you don't feel like you're eating the normal chips and fish, but you have a story behind the way the fish was, where I don't know what has been put, and such kind of thing. Yeah, and that you feel compelled to go back there again, right? Good.
Correct.
Yes.
So there's quite a lot that we've covered.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the author, Russell Branson, the person who's written this. How did he come about to putting down these secrets? Is it something that he has utilized somewhere in a business or something?
Russell Branson is the founder. He started one of the successful company of it's called SaaS, software as a service, that is called ClickFunnels. He is, I think, the only, or among the only companies that have been able to reach very high level of success without venture capitalists coming in to put in funds. And he has been able to grow this company from the ground up, and he ends up being an expert. Actually, just as we were saying, he started off a business, he created a new opportunity, then he realized that he can be able to share the same opportunity with so many other people, and they can also grow. So he positioned himself as an expert, and from his business, and actually I take it, but most of the clients he's able to acquire, I think all the clients he acquires for his business, he acquires them less than 0 shillings or dollars spent.
So actually, he earns money.
He earns money for every client that comes in.
Yeah, that's quite.
And I was like, this is great. We are trying to reduce the client acquisition cost, while this guy is actually making profit from every client that comes in. And I pray that to some point I'll get also there. You might ask, how is he able to do that? Is by educating. By the time the client is coming in, they're actually coming in to buy, having bought something in advance before they get the real product. So most of it is in the book, Expert Secrets, and you will be able to find all this information there. It is quite detailed. It is one of the most comprehensive book I've seen. I am using it, I am studying it, I am using it as my worksheet when I'm building up my program. Badass Pro. So actually it will be like, once you go through the program, once it is up and running, I think in the next 3 weeks or so, and you read the book, you'll be like, I know what this guy is doing. I can tell you the whole business plan behind the Badass Pro. It is based on the book Expert Secrets. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like us to mention.
I think that's it, not unless you want to add something more to the book.
This week, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, they were running the second version of what they call KBB.
Oh, the Knowledge Business Blueprint.
Knowledge Business Blueprint. And actually, they invited Russell Branson to be part of that team, yeah?
Correct.
And the whole message is the same as is in the book. We don't need to wait for experts who are graduates and masters and PhDs, but we have experts within ourselves, and we just need to be able to identify what is this superpower that we have, and then put it out there in the market and actually earn money helping other people.
Yeah, and I think we can drill down. You had a very good example of that accountant who happened to have learned of a parenting technique. Yes. That helped him in nurturing and the upbringing of his own children. And what I would probably want to point out in that regard, I think we live in a fairly new dispensation where you can imagine of that niche that you probably have. Yeah. You could be the best person who people always call on to make samosas when they have a potluck.
Yeah.
That's your superpower.
Right.
So don't think of any lofty ideas. I want you to calm down and think of some of those things that people call on you that seem so natural to you that you never think about them. Right. But you could essentially be able to monetize that skill. And how do you monetize it? So typically the examples that they have shown here is being an expert, you can then be able to develop informational products. It could be like an online course.
Yeah.
What has made you to be the best samosa maker out there? Maybe what you want to do is there'll be several mothers out there, working mothers or say stay-at-home mothers that want to learn the same thing. And you can teach them how to make the best samosas ever. So that could be your course. Put a price tag to it, share more information about samosas, develop different variations of samosas. So think of those kind of things, and those are your superpower skills that you can be able to monetize. And we live in a world where these are things that you can sell, and you will find a following for those kind of things.
Yeah. There's a very great quote in the book as we finish up, and I want to read it out. And it is from Sir Winston Churchill, and it says, "To each there comes into their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on their shoulders and offered a chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talent. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour." So don't wait until you're tapped and you realize that you're not prepared. Start harnessing your expertise and send it out there to help other people. Thank you very much for staying with us. It has been a great moment. I really wish you can be able to go out there and get the book Expert Secrets by Russell Branson. Otherwise, thank you very much. We really appreciate. Take a moment, like the video, leave a comment, let me know which other book you would like us to review next time. Also like the video, subscribe to the channel, Daniel Mutuku. Also visit our website.
So you can visit my website, andymutua.com. I'll share more information about the upcoming opportunities, and also I'll continually be posting new books as I read them.
Also check out for the new program, Badass Pro, which will be careerpoint.co.ke/Badass. See you next time.
See ya.
We are out.